A pink beetle, a letter, and 20 years of marriage gone in a flash. Stories of betrayal unfold as a husband returns to an empty house, met with accusations of infidelity. Hello, everyone. It's great to have you back with us. Thank you for joining our gathering. Today, we unveil a fresh narrative to share, so let us embark on this journey together. At last, I arrived at my house, the clock striking 3 on a Saturday morning. The journey from Aberdeen to London was marred by an utterly dreadful traffic situation. Fridays have a way of unfolding like this, and today was no exception. A multi-vehicle pileup on the motorway had ensnared me in its grip for several hours. I assumed Liz, my wife Elizabeth, would have retired to bed long before now, yet I was taken aback to find that she hadn't left a light on for my return. As I retrieved my bags and briefcase from the trunk of my car, I barely succeeded in balancing them all in one go. I made my way to the front door, my steps deliberate and somewhat clumsy. As I stepped inside, an unsettling feeling washed over me, signaling that something was amiss. The house was undeniably cold, as the heating had been set to a minimal level or perhaps even switched off entirely. This was peculiar, for Liz is known to be a frigid, unyielding figure. She consistently sets the heating to a level that feels excessively warm for my taste. As I set my bags down and flicked on the lights, a wave of disbelief washed over me. Several pieces of our furniture had vanished. My thoughts whirled in a tempest of uncertainty. I hurriedly ascended the stairs to our bedroom, where, ideally, Liz ought to have been resting peacefully in bed. The bed lay vacant, wardrobe doors ajar and dresser drawers pulled wide, with nearly all of Liz's garments vanished. I remained frozen in disbelief for several moments. What on earth was happening here? With the notion that a small indulgence might be just what I needed, I found my way back to our lounge. I seized a bottle of rum from the bar and sank into my recliner, pondering the predicament in which I now found myself. It was unmistakably clear that my beloved wife had departed from my life. But what is the reason? Liz and I had shared nearly 19 years of marriage. We were blessed with 2 remarkable 18-year-old twin daughters, both embarking on their inaugural year at Bristol University. Let's not delve into the calculations, shall we? Liz was 5 months along when we tied the knot. To be frank, during my marriage to Liz, I don't believe we were truly enamored with each other. We were simply enjoying each other's company, reveling in the moments we shared. But as fate would have it, we stumbled, and it was a significant misstep. Liz became pregnant with Emily and Olivia, and I took the honorable course of action. Unfortunately, I found myself limited in my options. If I hadn't, my father would have taken my life. Yet, love is an enigmatic force that I quickly realized that I was utterly enchanted by Liz and my daughters. For nearly my entire existence, they were the center of my universe. For Liz, I would go to any lengths, bending over backwards to fulfill her desires, that I remain indifferent to the opinions of others. My devotion to her knows no bounds, as deep as any man's love for his wife. With the girls away at university, we found ourselves cherishing the moments we had missed during their childhood. Not everything was entirely perfect, however. Elizabeth possessed a formidable spirit, and truth be told, I often acquiesced to her desires, merely to maintain harmony. Overall, I found satisfaction in many aspects of my marriage. Yet now it seemed as though I had been ensnared in a web of deception, or perhaps it was Liz who had woven it. It appeared as though Liz had indeed departed from my life. I found myself at a loss, unable to discern the reason behind it all. She frequently expressed her deep affection for me. We had contemplated the reality that neither of us truly believed we would have tied the knot, had she not found herself expecting. Yet, we both acknowledged that it was likely the most fortunate event in our lives, and how profoundly our love for one another had blossomed since our union. It appeared to me as though someone might have reconsidered their decision. Alas, my feelings seized control. In a surge of anger, I leapt to my feet and began to pace the room restlessly. With a surge of emotion, I burst into the back garden, eager to ignite my pipe. Liz finds the aroma of my pipe tobacco unappealing within the confines of our home, prompting me to step outside for my smoke. I stood there for 10 minutes, only to come to the unsettling realization that Liz was absent, and it seemed she would remain so in the days to come. Yet, for some inexplicable reason, I found myself completing my pipe outside. Upon my return through the back door, I observed the letter resting on the kitchen table. For a fleeting moment, I found myself gazing at it was written on the envelope. Michael. It undoubtedly came from Liz, and at the time of her writing, she was quite irritated with me. She reserves the name Michael for moments of discontent, a clear signal of her displeasure that I settled into my chair, grasped the envelope, and examined it closely, turning it over in my hands. I suppose I never truly desired to unveil it. I had a sinking feeling that the contents within would not be to my liking. With deliberate care, I peeled back the envelope, revealing the letter nestled within its confines. You scoundrel! You deceitful, duplicitous, egotistical scoundrel, that I am parting ways with you. I once believed you held affection for me, yet now I see the truth has shifted. You have been engaging in deceitful antics with that insipid flirt, and I possess the evidence to substantiate my claims that I have an appointment with a solicitor on Monday. I have decided to end our marriage and will pursue all that I can claim. I will show you how to play games with me. Did you not consider the girls at all while you were parading around with that young woman? She seems hardly older than the twins. I intend to extract every last bit from you. You scoundrel, you should start searching for another place to call home, for once I'm done with you, the house will no longer be yours to keep. And if I ever encounter that wretched creature, you can inform her that I shall tear her eyes from their sockets in a fit of rage. Elizabeth, how intriguing, I mused aloud to myself. I find myself curious about the identity of this intriguing individual that Liz seems to be absorbing some untruths about. I believe there has been a significant error in the intelligence section at some point in the process. I strike you as the type of person who would betray his spouse. Such a man would undoubtedly have turned his back on Liz upon learning of her pregnancy. I am the sort of person who values what he possesses and is resolute in his desire to hold on to it. Indeed, there have been moments when temptation has beckoned me. Which man hasn't? I have always been aware of the side of the toast that bears the butter. I have consistently exercised great caution in my actions. Yet, it was clear that Liz was certain I was just toying with her. What course of action should I take? Indeed, there was but a singular course of action to take, and that was the decision to retire for the night. Listen, I've been awake since before 6 on Friday morning. At last, the clock struck 4:30 on a Saturday morning. Thus, I retired to my chamber. Indeed, just with that same tranquility. Understand this. My journey in business has been shaped by my ability to keep my emotions in check. Once I discerned the nature of the problem, a sense of ease began to wash over me. Understanding that I could swiftly ease Liz's worries. All I needed to do was demonstrate to her that she had misjudged the situation, and just like that, the crisis was resolved. Yet, as I settled into bed, I discovered that sleep eluded me. Unanticipated questions began to swirl in my mind. If Liz believed I was being unfaithful to her, what held her back from confronting me about it? That was indeed a compelling observation. Was it possible that she had anticipated my infidelity? Yet, what could possibly motivate her to take such an action? One lesson I gleaned through the passage of time was that individuals often anticipate others to act in accordance with their own behavior. Now, hold on a moment. Minute could easily think I was being unfaithful, especially since she had been toying with my trust. After growing suspicious of me for reasons unknown, she jumped to the conclusion that I was the one being disloyal. I sprang from my bed at the mere suggestion of that thought. This was no trivial matter. In the blink of an eye, I was ransacking the house, driven by desperation, searching for any shred of evidence that might suggest Liz had betrayed my trust. I upended her sewing room. Searching her bedroom drawers seemed rather futile. All of them were devoid of substance. After that, I sat down at the computer, dedicating hours to my search. I managed to crack her email passwords swiftly, but then I found myself poring over the internet history files for what felt like an eternity, an utter squander of precious moments, yet undeniably essential. Aside from Liz's pursuit of a divorce lawyer she had initiated that Thursday, I uncovered nothing of significance. There was no indication that she had reached out to the solicitor she seemed to have selected. An intriguing notion has struck me. To triumph in a conflict, one must seize the initiative. It was a long shot, yet I decided to take the plunge regardless. Shortly after the clock struck 9 a.m., I composed an email to those individuals she had clearly selected, requesting that they represent me in the matter of our divorce. The slender possibility lingered that Liz had yet to engage in conversation with them. Fortune smiled upon me. Almost immediately after I hit send on my email, a response arrived, urging me to come into the office without delay. Thus, that is precisely what I undertook. Following the hour of 10 on that Saturday morning, I presented Maria with a granite check, and from that instant, she assumed the role of my solicitor. Liz was unaware that certain solicitors operate on Saturdays. Upon revealing to Maria the discovery I had made at home and presenting her with the letter, she inquired if I had ever strayed from my marriage vows. I expressed to her my deep affection for my wife, assuring her that throughout our marriage, I had taken no actions that might jeopardize our union. Maria advised me to remain patient, suggesting that I should uncover Liz's whereabouts and engage her in conversation. Maria believed it was likely a simple misunderstanding, one that could be resolved through a bit of open dialogue between us. I returned home and began my search for Vicky. I reached out to her parents and brother, yet both claimed they hadn't heard from her and that she wasn't with them. It seemed she had kept her silence from them entirely. Her sister was no different, yet I had concluded that she resided far too distant for Liz to have ventured there at all. Vicky's family, seemingly unaware of her departure from me, swiftly chose their allegiance and fell silent when I revealed the reasons behind her decision to leave. The subsequent call I was about to make filled me with trepidation, yet deep down, I understood it was truly my most promising option. It was none other than Vicky's friend, Rachel. Rachel had experienced the end of 2 marriages, and truthfully, I find it hard to fault the men involved. Rachel can embody the sweetness of a ripe peach one moment, yet transform into a formidable force the next. Liz and Rachel had shared a bond that traced back to their school days. In the moments when Rachel found herself apart from her numerous admirers, she transformed into a striking femme fatale, often accompanied by her confidant, Vicky. Even Rachel would indulge in a girls' night out every few weeks, and it was not uncommon for Liz to ring me up, requesting a ride as Rachel had hit the jackpot. Liz and I frequently found ourselves sharing a laugh over it. I had always believed that Vicky was someone I could rely on. As soon as Rachel secured a new beau, Liz would summon me to play the role of backup. I pressed the digits for Rachel's number, and in that instant, I sensed I had struck gold. As soon as Rachel caught wind of my voice, she began to unleash her thoughts upon me that I insisted on speaking with Elizabeth, yet Rachel firmly claimed she was not present. I was convinced she was there, for it was the sole destination she could have chosen, and Rachel's tirade revealed that she was fully aware of Liz's departure from my life. After approximately 5 minutes, I conceded defeat and ended the call. The familiar emotions surged once more, prompting a return outdoors for another full pipe. In that moment of pause, I regained my composure and began to reflect anew. Liz immersed herself in the world of games. This sudden departure without a word was clearly intended to provoke me. Indeed, it was no longer going to ruffle my feathers. I had committed no act that warranted shame. Vicky, if you wish to engage in games, then I shall certainly indulge in them. I burst through the door and dialed the twins' number. They were utterly astonished when I revealed that their mother had left me. Naturally, I conveyed to them that I could not recall any actions on my part that might have led Liz to depart from my life, and I believe I managed to persuade them of my innocence. I mentioned to them that I believed Liz was at Rachel's, and I added that, in my view, she was welcome to remain there. The girls expressed their belief that it was merely a trivial misunderstanding, confident that their mother would soon regain her clarity of thought. That it was perhaps unwise to involve the girls in this matter. Yet the frivolous games we engaged in seemed to invite their participation. I was certain they would deliver a stern reprimand to their mother regarding it. Subsequently, I ventured into the garage in search of treasures. Upon acquiring the house, I took it upon myself to replace the barrels and the exterior door locks for 2 primary reasons. One reason was our uncertainty about whether we had received all the keys to the house, and the other was to ensure we possessed a matching set of barrels. Every exterior door was fitted with a single key, eliminating the burden of juggling multiple keys. The paralock barrel requires just a few minutes for a perfect fit. Having reverted all the barrels to their original state, I proceeded to disable the garage door opener and secure the shutter with bolts. Liz yearned for freedom. Alas, she found herself utterly excluded, unable to return to the place she once knew. As I was adjusting the shutter on the garage, my neighbor from across the road, Old Man Blake, approached me. He and his wife are quite the inquisitive duo, so I suppose they must have noticed Liz in motion and decided to wander over to see what tidbits of gossip he could gather. He extracted very little from me, yet I learned that a rider's rental truck had shown up on Friday morning, with 2 men and a woman assisting Liz in removing a considerable amount of belongings from the house. The 2 men departed in the truck, while Liz trailed behind in her Volvo. A pink Beetle whisked away the other woman. I was correct that it was Rachel. The insufferable little Pink Beetle was hers. That evening, I meticulously drew all the curtains in the house and carefully closed the blinds on the garage windows. From the exterior, the world beyond remained hidden. Yet from the vantage of the upstairs windows, I had a clear view of the front door and driveway, all thanks to the security CCTV system. A few years ago, I installed that so Liz could see who was at the door in my absence. Once more, I reached out to Rachel that I have already informed you, Michael, that Elizabeth is not present. I have no idea of her whereabouts, and even if I did, I wouldn't share that information with you, you deceitful scoundrel. That is entirely acceptable. Rachel, I comprehend. Please convey a message to Liz on my behalf. Should you chance upon her, that is, inform her that since she has opted to embrace a foolish rumor without bothering to converse with me, I find myself disinterested in discovering her whereabouts. Indeed, I find myself questioning the desire to encounter her once more. If you happen to hear from her, could you please ask her to inform me of the appropriate address for my solicitor to send the divorce papers? I plan to seek a divorce due to her abandonment, that we shall soon discover who draws the short straw in her cunning little game. That is not permissible. She is set to end your marriage due to infidelity. In that regard, Rachel, I must confess that I would need to have engaged in infidelity with another. Given my awareness of my actions, I believe I am quite secure in that respect. Now, don't you worry your pretty little head about it. The divorce will conclude in my favor, as Liz has decided to abandon me. I have a rather foolish letter from her stating that she is indeed doing just that. My solicitor informs me that this is all I will require, yet your presence was noted. I ended the call and subsequently disconnected the phone. That small misstep in words from Rachel was precisely what I needed to catch. She had remarked that she reconsidered, remarking that your presence was evident from that final half-sentence. I suspected it was Rachel who believed she had spotted me in the company of another woman at some point. Would Rachel recount precisely what I had expressed, and would that settle into Vicky's thoughts? As I stepped into the kitchen, I set about crafting a meal for myself. Once the night had fully enveloped the world outside, I quietly slipped through the back door and circled the house, ensuring that no prying eyes could catch a glimpse within. Rachel had a desire for games, and thus, games we would indulge in. I positioned myself at the computer, seeking amusement while I awaited the anticipated excitement to unfold. At precisely 8:30, I caught sight of Vicky's Volvo gliding into the driveway on the CCTV monitor. It seems Liz has altered her course of action. She sat in the car, her gaze fixed on the house for a time. Then Rachel approached and settled into the car beside her. It seems that Rachel arrived in her own vehicle, discreetly parking it along the street. Out of my line of sight, it seemed that Liz was playing it safe. I wonder if she contemplated the possibility that her evidence might fall short in a court battle, or perhaps she questioned her own conclusions. Regardless, it seems she was yearning for a permanent return if she were residing in the house. I couldn't assert that she had abandoned me. After a wait of approximately 15 minutes, Liz emerged from the car and attempted to unlock the front door. It dawned on me that she had likely been attempting to open the garage door with the remote control, but ultimately, she had surrendered to frustration. Naturally, her key refused to align with the lock. Liz pressed the doorbell several times, her voice echoing through the postbox as she called out to me. Rachel stepped out of the Volvo and approached her. I could hear their voices, yet aside from Rachel's suggestion to try the other door, nothing else came through with clarity. They slipped beyond the watchful gaze of the CCTV, and soon after, I heard them at the kitchen door. There stood the patio door, a mere 5 feet away from my position. In the blink of an eye, they found themselves once more at the front door. Once more attempting the front door, Liz shifted her focus and endeavored to raise the garage shutter manually. Having deemed that endeavor a lost cause, the pair returned to the Volvo, lingering beside it for a while, engaged in a spirited discussion. The moment came to a close as Rachel turned and walked away, leaving Liz to slip back into the confines of her car. For the next 30 minutes, Liz remained seated, seemingly engaged in a series of calls on her mobile phone, yet not genuinely conversing with anyone. It was reasonable to conclude that she was attempting to reach out through the house phone, yet the line remained persistently engaged. She must have dialed the mobile phone that I had turned off. Then Rachel reappeared, a McDonald's bag in her hands. She slipped into the Volvo beside Liz, and they lingered there until the clock struck well past midnight, at which point, almost abruptly, they pulled away into the night. Peering around the curtain, I noticed Rachel's VW left parked in the street, leading me to assume they intended to return the next morning. Throughout the entirety of Sunday, they lingered in the driveway, with Rachel embarking on several excursions to the nearby McDonald's. Once more, they departed just after the stroke of midnight. Yet this time they chose to take Rachel's car along for the journey that I presumed that Rachel required it to make her way to work the next morning. On Monday, I Rachel and departed from the house at the break of dawn, prepared for the possibility of Liz's unexpected return. I ventured to the motorway service area, where I indulged in a rather dubious breakfast. Afterward, I immersed myself in the daily papers, allowing the words to wash over me until the moment arrived for me to head to work. In a rare turn of events, I found myself being the first to arrive that morning. I anticipated that the game would reach its conclusion today. Liz was certain to ring me at the office, yet I couldn't help but think I had earned a bit of retribution for the scare she had given me on Friday night. As the clock struck 9:05, my phone began to ring. "Michael, where on earth have you been?" Liz insisted. "All weekend, I've been attempting to gain entry into the house." This verbal assault has once more disturbed my peace. Honestly, I anticipated a deeply remorseful Elizabeth that morning that I would advise against attempting to enter the house once more. "Liz, don't forget, that's no longer your home. Given the vastness of the house, far exceeding my solitary needs, I have decided to rent it out." A fabrication, undeniably, yet it achieved the intended outcome. Liz lost her mind. "Are you angry? It's impossible that you've rented it out. What on earth possessed you to do that?" "Listen, Liz, we are facing a significant and costly legal confrontation ahead. The income from the house will contribute to covering the expenses. You've truly lost your mind. Vicky, you truly lost your mind when you embarked on this journey. You have accused me of infidelity. You addressed me with all those names in that ridiculous letter. Yet, you chose silence while seeking refuge at Rachel's house. Michael, we need to have a conversation. The hour is rather advanced for conversation now, Vicky." The conversation took place on Friday evening. This moment, the lawyer stands poised to reap the rewards of their labor. Is that all there is? You show no remorse for your actions. You're simply relieved to bid me farewell after 2 decades. Whoa, just a moment, my dear. To begin with, I have no apologies to offer. You were the one who took the step to walk away. You were the one who penned that ridiculous note that almost sent my heart into a frenzy. It was you who broached the subject of divorce. I recommend you pay a visit to that solicitor you were so eager to mention and discover what insights he might offer. Kindly return my call and provide me with his details so that I may relay them to my contacts. Farewell, Elizabeth. I ended the call. Had I gone too far? Indeed, I suppose I was, in all likelihood. Yet, in my view, there exists but one circumstance more disheartening than discovering your partner is engaging in infidelity. And that's the moment when the one you cherish lacks the faith in you that ought to be there. I placed a few phone calls that I deemed essential. The initial destination for the writer's truck rental. I had a few matters to discuss with them. A number was bestowed upon me, leading to an extensive dialogue with a rather remorseful little man. I had encountered him once at one of Rose's gatherings. I believe I truly frightened him. Subsequently, I initiated an international call and addressed that aspect. 30 minutes later, I received a call from Nancy Moore. She felt a twinge of annoyance towards me. Mr. Poulsen, your wife has just paid us a visit. I have a strong suspicion that you were aware she planned to keep me today to represent her interests. Indeed, I had my suspicions about her intentions all along. However, considering your reputation as the finest divorce lawyer in the area, I believe it would be far more advantageous for you to represent me. Rather, my clerk has referred her to a different practice. Be advised, they are exceptionally good and quite costly. Maria, I mean no disrespect. Could you recommend a solicitor who is reasonably priced? No offense was taken, Michael. Your finances are your own. Feel free to express your thoughts. Why haven't you reached out to her to resolve this situation? The solution lies entirely within a name. Elizabeth refers to me as Michael. The it signifies that she harbors anger towards me. She refuses to listen to my words when I insist that I did not engage in an affair. She is reluctant to accept my words. Had she done so, she would have addressed me as Dave. It is as straightforward as that. Elizabeth has never referred to me as Michael. I find your reasoning a bit perplexing, yet I genuinely believe it would be beneficial for the two of you to meet and have a conversation. Indeed, I stand ready to engage in that conversation when Elizabeth is open to hearing me out. However, I find myself with a few rather significant inquiries to pose to her. If my questions go unanswered, you will inevitably be managing our separation. Michael, do you suspect that your wife may have been unfaithful to you? Not exactly. Yet she seems to have been rather swift in her belief that I would be. It has always struck me that individuals often anticipate others to act in the same manner they themselves do. I find myself pondering whether Elizabeth has been as devoted to me as she anticipates my devotion to her. She seems to be passing judgment on me with remarkable speed. Your reasoning is becoming clearer to me, though it's not something I've encountered previously. Indeed, we shall observe the unfolding events. Shall we proceed? I shall reach out to you later, Maria. The remainder of the morning slipped by with little progress on my tasks, and it wasn't until nearly noon that I received a call back from Liz. Dave, we need to have a conversation. Without hesitation, I shifted from my defensive stance and consented to meet her at 2 o'clock in the pub just down the road from my office. Initially, Liz seemed taken aback by what she perceived as my abrupt surrender. Yet, upon her resuming the use of my name, Michael, it dawned on me that the battle was far from over. As I settled into a quiet corner, Liz made her entrance into the bar. She approached me without hesitation and took a seat across from me, despite my earlier decision to leave her space in the booth to sit beside her. Will you not treat me to a drink? She inquired. No, you can purchase your own damn drinks. Keep in mind, it was you who chose to leave me behind. My presence is not essential to you. Liz found herself momentarily stunned. It seemed to me that she continued to believe I had betrayed her trust, placing me in the position of having to defend myself. She Rachel from her seat and made her way to the bar, intent on treating herself to a drink. So, what do you have to say for yourself? Upon her return, she insisted. Elizabeth, I find myself utterly perplexed by what has come over you. Exactly what do you believe warrants my apology? I'm uncertain. You found yourself in Blackpool last weekend, accompanied by a rather cheeky companion. Your presence was noted, so any attempt to refute it would be futile. Elizabeth, I found myself in Edinburgh last week. You're aware of that. I have engaged in conversation with you on multiple occasions that I am completely unaware of such matters. I had a conversation with you on your mobile device. You might as well have been in the far reaches of Timbuktu for all I was aware. I've heard whispers that you were in Blackpool with a woman. Elizabeth, I was engaged in my work. You're familiar with my plans that IT occurs with the same regularity 4 times each year. Glasgow, Edinburgh, Aberdeen. 3 days in age. For almost 5 years, I have been engaged in the same routine. However, your presence was noted in Blackpool. All right, Elizabeth, who caught a glimpse of me in Blackpool. Whoever claimed to have seen me there is either misinformed or deceiving you. What could possibly compel someone to venture to dreary Blackpool during this season? It must be excruciatingly cold, with the biting winds sweeping across that coast at this time of year. I appreciate your attention. The tale is far from concluded, and the intensity is poised to escalate further. Keep your eyes peeled for the upcoming installment to discover what unfolds next.